America, Donald Trump.
Thank you very much. So amazing. Rudy just left. He just said, I don't believe this. This is unbelievable. Nobody believes it. The crowds we're getting, I'm the messenger, but I'll tell you what, the message is the right message. We're tired of incompetence. We're tired of not taking care of our military. We're tired of not taking care of our vets who are being taken care of very poorly. We're tired of so many different things, and this is what happens. So our mayor, my friend Rudy Giuliani, just walks out. I'm telling you, he said, I don't believe this. This is incredible. And what he hasn't seen, and your governor, by the way, who's a great guy, and he's now seeing it, they're walking outside because there are thousands of people outside that can't get in. I said, Rudy, you think this is bad? Go take a look outside. So I just want to thank Pat and Rudy, and I want to thank everybody for being here. And we're going to have a good time. We love North Carolina. We love North Carolina. We did really well in the primaries, if you remember, and I hear we're doing really well now. We have to win. That November 8th date is so important. It's so important. You know, I bring things up like the judges, right? Supreme Court justices. We have to get... You know, you could have as many as 4. I guess there's a scenario in which this president could pick 5 Supreme Court justices. And if you pick 2 that are left, it's going to be a disaster for our country. Your Second Amendment, the National Rifle Association endorsed me, and they endorsed me early, long time ago. And they're great people. Wayne and Chris, they're great people. But if you do something with these, I'll tell you what, justices right now, you lost a great one with Scalia. We want to replace with justices very much like Justice Scalia, and that's going to happen, and it's so important. So if for no other reason, I mean, such an important, one of the most important elections for a lot of reasons, not just that, but for a lot of reasons. But that's so obvious because for whatever reason, they say this could be the presidency, this next 4 years, where you'll pick more Supreme Court justices than anybody has ever had the opportunity to do. And believe me, I'll make you very proud of those justices. They'll be great. Okay? So we had an incident a few days ago with the 400 million all cash, right? 400 million all cash. Anybody know what that looks like? That's a lot of cash. That's a lot of cash. And honestly, it's so sad. Think of it. Going to Iran, a terror state. Now, I happen to think they have plenty of money. We've given them 150 billion, so the 400 million is just, you know. I happen to think it goes into their accounts in Switzerland, personally. Now, a lot of people say, no, it's used for terror, and they use it for terror. because it's the #1 terror funder, not even close. But I also think that when you have $400 million in cash, different denominations, you see the size of this? They did, I guess, release the pictures after all. They released pictures. And interesting, I'll tell you, I sort of think it goes into bank accounts, right? You know, I sort of think they take it, they probably use some for this, some for that. You can do a lot of things. And Obama said that he did it because we don't have a working account with Iran. Do you believe it? How long does it take to set up an account? Right? You don't have a working account, you set up an account, right, Laura? You set up an account. It takes about look, what's going on in this country, folks, what's going on in this country is insane. And we have people running our country that don't know what they're doing. They're grossly incompetent. And it's time. I mean, we have to make change, real change, not Obama change. We have to make change. Whether it's Sergeant Bergdahl, where we get Bergdahl, who was a traitor, and they get 5 of the greatest killers that they've wanted for 8 years. We get Bergdahl. I call it the 5-for-1 trade. Or the Iran deal, where we get nothing. We get nothing. They get, ultimately, they have the path, beautiful path. They'll get way, way earlier than that. They'll get nuclear weapons. So if you get Trump, you're going to see a lot of changes to that deal. It's going to happen fast. You're going to see some big changes. And what really, I mean, I saw where President Obama said that the $400 million in cash had nothing to do with the release of the hostages, right? It really doesn't work, does it? Does it? I mean, remember Obamacare? You're going to keep your doctor, you're going to keep your plan over and over again. You're going to keep your doctor. It was a lie. And in fact, if he didn't make the lie, he would have never gotten it approved, because most Democrats, many of the Democrats didn't want to do it. It was only that got them to sign it and to approve it. And it was a lie. And the $400 million, and from what the rumor is and from what the reports are, the hostages couldn't leave the airport until this other plane arrived. They don't know why, but I think we all have a pretty good reason why. It's all a big lie. It's all a big lie, and it's so sad to see. And let me tell you, Hillary Clinton is going to be 4 more years of Obama, but maybe worse. Maybe worse. It's going to be 4 more years. 4 more years of ISIS, 4 more years of high taxes. You know, yesterday I had a big event, really. It turned out to be a very big event in Detroit. And good event. Very good. And we got wonderful reviews and a lot of good comments. But the thing I'm doing, I'm cutting taxes big league, especially for the middle class and especially for businesses. Because businesses are dying, and that means small businesses, period. Businesses are leaving our country like they've never left before. They're going all over. They're going to Mexico, that I can tell you. Mexico is like the 8th wonder of the world. You know, I've been telling a story, a friend of mine, good friend of mine, good guy. He builds plants. He builds plants for cars, for computers, for, you know, where they make them, massive plants. And I said to him, how are you doing? And he's worked in North Carolina, by the way. I said to him, how are you doing? He said, phenomenal. It's like, I think, the biggest in the world at this. That's what he does. Great guy. I said, how's it all going? He said, you got to see Mexico, Donald. It's the 8th wonder of the world. What we're building there is like never has been built. We've never seen anything like it. And I said, how are we doing in the United States? I'm more interested in that. Okay, if it's okay, I guess, right? We're allowed to, you know, America first, folks. America first. America first. Right? America first. America first. We get a little tired of these deals where they actually put, and you know why? Because of lobbyists and special interests and people representing and people wanting it to happen. It's just not that they want other countries to benefit over us. There are reasons for it. And, you know, when I raise money, and I'm putting up a lot of money for my own campaign, I'm funding me. And I'm raising money for the Republican Party. And we're getting a lot of money from the small donors. Remember 2 months ago, I hadn't started. I wanted to make sure I get the nomination before I start, right? Let me get the nomination, please. And then I took a lot of heat from the press, the world's most dishonest people, by the way. And terrible. Terrible. Those cameras will not move and show how many people are in this auditorium. Those cameras are not going to move unless we have a protester. Is there a protester up there in the corner? Any protester? If we had a protest, that's the only time they move, because they're showing something that in their mind is a bad thing. So then they move. But I like that. I've always liked my protesters because the cameras show these massive crowds and people say, wow, was that a big crowd? You know, I go home to my wife. I say, how's it going? She goes, darling, your speech was very good. Were there many people there? I say, yeah, about 7,000. That's a small group. It's only confined. I mean, you had to see outside. I felt so badly. I came up, thank you, and I love you too. Who said that? Who said that, huh? Thank you, thank you. But I came up with Rudy from New York, and we're driving up, and we're going block after block after block, the line. And I said, are those people going to be able to get in? They said, the place is already full. And Rudy just said, man, I've never seen anything like that. Maybe a couple of days before an election. But this is what's happening. Because of the fact we have a movement going, folks. Because people are so tired of it. They're so tired of it. So, and by the way, voter ID. Watch with that. Watch with voter ID. Why aren't we having voter ID? In other words, I want to vote. Here's my identification. I want to vote. As opposed to somebody coming up and voting 15 times for Hillary. Well, and I will not tell you to vote 15 times. I will not tell you to do that. Okay? You won't vote 15 times. But people will. They'll vote many times. And how that could have happened is unbelievable. And the governor just told me that they're going before the United States Supreme Court, Justice Roberts, and maybe they can get a stay. Let's see what happens, okay? Let's see what happens. That's a very important thing. But I wrote a few things down, and to me, so important. Yes, darling, thank you. Unstable Hillary lacks the judgment. Now, Bernie Sanders said she lacks judgment, right? And nobody said anything about it, no problem. He said, you lack judgment. And during one of the debates, nobody said, it was fine. When I say it, they say, that's terrible the way you talk. I say, she does, she lacks judgment. She lacks temperament. And I'm the one that used unfit many months ago. And now they turn it around, use it on me. Unfit? I'm unfit? That's a first. But she lacks the temperament and the moral character to lead this country. It's very simple. She really does. She's a dangerous person who doesn't tell the truth, which has been proven very loudly. I've never seen I don't think we've ever had greater proof of that, of anybody. And she's disregarded the lives of Americans. You see what's happening with what she's done with her server. And you know why she did that. So I just look at this and I said that if she gets elected, she will cause the destruction of this country from within. Remember that. Remember that. She will allow people into our country that will do damage. They will do damage, folks. You look at what's going on in the world. Look at France. Take a good look at France. I have friends that go to France. They used to love France. They say, no, thank you. They don't expect to be going back anytime for a long time. I have one friend, I said, how was your trip this year to France? He said, France isn't France anymore. We're not going. And so many people are saying that. Look at what's going on with Germany. Look at what's happening with Germany. Look at the crime. Look at the problems. We have enough problems in our country right now. We don't need additional problems, folks. We don't need additional problems. And for all we know, this could be the great Trojan horse. This could be. We don't know who these people are. Now, they're coming in through Obama, and I looked at a chart yesterday, and it's like for years, it's sort of like this, a little uptick. And the last period of time, it's like, wah, wah, wah. I have never seen anything like it. They're letting them in, and again, you can't vet them. You don't know where they come from. We don't know. Look at the damage that 2 people in San Bernardino probably radicalized the guy, the woman coming in. Look at the damage in Orlando. Look at the damage that was done in Orlando by one whack job, one sick whack job. And you know what he was screaming? He's screaming what they all scream. And we have to get smart, folks. We don't need the problems. And we've already got those problems, just so you understand. Because they're coming into the country and they're being put where nobody even knows where they are. It's like, if I were the enemy, I would say, I can't believe they're that stupid. They're taking my people and they're putting them all over the place. Because you have great military right here. And our military... Our military cannot be beaten. But you know what can happen? When we don't know where they are, where they're coming from, you get them all over the place. And folks, it's some. You don't need many. You don't need many. One person in Orlando, 2 people. Look at in France, 130. Now they have the strictest gun laws anywhere in the world. France, Paris, 130 people killed. 130. And I've said 100 times, if this man or if this woman or if that woman or man had a gun in Paris or in San Bernardino and the bullets were flying in the other direction, would have been a whole different story, folks. Would have been a whole different. For those foolish people that say Second Amendment, would have been a whole different story. I'll go a step further. If these people, bad, sick people, if these people knew there were guns in the good guy's hands, right, they probably wouldn't have gone in the first place, all right? All right? Gun-free. What do you think, these gun-free zones? You know what a gun-free zone is? That's like, they study where the gun-free zones. If they would have known you had guns, if they would have known that they were going to be shot at from the other side, would have been a whole different story. Maybe wouldn't have even happened in the first place. So they better not come here, he said. They better not. They better not. So recently, a book came out a couple of weeks ago, a Secret Service agent, and made a statement because she said the other day she short-circuited. Hey, could you imagine if I said that I short-circuited? They would be calling for my execution. Electric chair. They'd bring back the electric chair. It would be a whole different ball game if I said it, believe me. But the secret agent said she simply lacks the integrity and temperament to serve in the office, right? From the bottom of my soul, he said, I know this to be true. Her leadership style, which is volcanic and impulsive, and she makes bad decisions, okay? Hey, you know, it's one thing to make bad decisions. It's another thing to be wacky and make bad decisions. She is disdainful of the rules set for everyone else, and she hasn't changed a bit. That was the good thing. I couldn't say the bad things that were said. It's too much. Nobody would even believe it. You got to see this book. Nobody would believe because it's so terrible, so terrible. And she comes across like this woman, nice, easy, but she's not. And she's listen, she's not a leader, and she is a liar. Hey, 33,000 emails are gone, okay? 33,000 emails are gone. They're gone. How do you get rid of 33,000 emails? Who sends 33,000 emails? I mean, 33, do you know how many that is? I think that's like 24 hours a day, reading them or sending them, but it wouldn't matter. For years, 33,000 emails are missing. And she's so guilty. She's so guilty. I think it's a tremendous blotch in our country. I really mean that. I think what happened over the last 2 weeks with respect to her, especially in light of the fact that General Petraeus and many others have suffered unbelievable consequence, I think it's a tremendous blot on our country, a tremendous blot. Just remember that. But I just looked at this, the economic failures of Obama and Clinton, etc. Obama-Clinton economic policies have produced 1.2% economic growth, the weakest so-called recovery since the Great Depression. Now, this is like unbelievable, 1.2. Do you know if China goes to 7% or 8%, it's like a national catastrophe. Now, what they do is they cut their currency, they devalue their currency, and big league. And then all of our businesses continue to be drained out of the United States, our money, our jobs. They make our product. They sell our product to us. No tax, no nothing. You devalue. See, devaluing is sort of cheating. You know, it's sort of like cheating. Now, I have great relationships with China. I've done great business with China. I've done really well with China. I have them as tenants. I sell condos. I own the Bank of America building in San Francisco with a great group. Thank you, man. Got to win North Carolina. Thank you. Thank you. But it's cheating. It's really cheating. And when I look at these trade deals, it's so sad, where we lose $800 billion with a B, dollars a year on trade. With China alone, it's $400 billion and $500 billion and $505 billion. This is year in and year out. It's actually amazing that our country keeps going. But what has happened is we have people in the audience. In 18 years, they're making less money now than they made 18 years ago in real wages, 18. And in many cases, they're working 2 and 3 jobs, okay? But they're making less money now than they made 18 years ago. And those stats come right out, real wages. They're working harder, they're getting older. So in theory, it's supposed to be the other way. You know, you're working young, you don't care. Get a little older, it's like, well, by the way, how about me? I think I'm working harder too, if you want to know. I never worked this hard in my life. But I like it. I like it. I love it, actually, because I've met so many incredible people. You know, I really got a tremendous understanding of this country because I'm going to places that I've heard about, I've known about. I'm stopping everywhere. And I see the carnage that NAFTA has caused. I see the carnage. It's been horrible. I see upstate New York. I see North Carolina. But I see every state. You look at New England. New England got really whacked. New England got hit. You look at Ohio. What happened there? And still happening. By the way, this isn't like it's going to happen or it's all over. It's getting worse. You look at Ohio. You look at Michigan. What's going on with the car plants being built in Mexico is unbelievable. And more, you know, they're moving. We were just talking about the auto workers yesterday, where they've lost over 100,000 auto workers. in Michigan, the state of Michigan, which is our car capital. And it's really not the car capital anymore. Mexico will become the new car capital of the world in a very short period of time. Now think of it. And that's only because we allow it to happen. And I like Mexico, and I respect the leaders of Mexico because they're much smarter, they're much street smarter, but they're much smarter and more cunning than our leaders. But you have to see what's going on. And one of the reasons I won Indiana was Bobby Knight, because he's the best, he's the greatest. But one of the reasons is that Carrier Air Conditioning let 1,400 people go, and they're building a plant in Mexico. And we're not going to let it happen, folks. Look, right now, as you stand here and you think you have great jobs, companies are negotiating from North Carolina to move to Mexico and other places. It's not just Mexico, by the way. Made possible by our federal government, made possible by the people that enacted this suicidal pact. It's a suicidal pact for our country. And you know, I've watched for years. Now, I was never a politician until 14 months ago, so I can't believe I'm saying I'm a politician. Can't believe it. But I've been watching for years, and I've watched as the government tries to keep businesses from leaving our country and going to other countries. And I've seen low interest loans. I've seen zero interest loans. I've seen all sorts of subsidies. Forget it. That stuff's not going to work. That's not going to work. What's going to work is, as an example, Carrier moves to Mexico, and you wish him a lot of luck. Good luck. Have a nice plant. I hope my friend builds it, right? And then you know what happens? When they make their air conditioners, and they think they're going to sell that air conditioner, people living in Indianapolis, where they come from, for a similar price, and they think they're going to sell it there and have no repercussions. With me, they have repercussions, okay? With me, they have repercussions. With me, we inform them that if you move, you're going to pay a 35% tax on every single air conditioner that pours across our now very secure borders. And two things are going to happen. One of two things. One of two things are going to happen. Number one, if you get them in time, they're not moving. Throws it all off balance. They're all off kilter. Number one, they're not. Now, people would say, well, why doesn't anybody use this? Why doesn't anybody mention it? I'll tell you why. Because they're controlled by their lobbyists, their politicians. And Carrier goes out, and whoever it might be, I'm just using Carrier as an example. It's hundreds and thousands. It's thousands of companies and millions of jobs we're talking about. I was looking at numbers. I'm not going to repeat the numbers because they'll say I was wrong. It can't be that high. I couldn't believe it was that high. But it's thousands of companies and millions of jobs. And you'd say, why doesn't somebody else say what Trump is saying? So I'm controlled by myself because I'm putting up my money. Okay? I'm putting up my money. But although we raised, did you see 82 million last month? 82 million last month. And a lot of the money was the small donations, which Republicans never get. A lot of them, I think it averaged $61 a hit. 61, can you imagine that? The total that we raised. And in fact, in May, I told you, I was taking heat because they said Donald Trump didn't raise any money. And I told you why, right? I didn't raise it because I didn't know. I got to make sure I have the nomination. If I didn't get the nomination, I would have gone to Turnberry and played golf, okay? In Scotland. But you know what? I got the nomination, so now I had to start. And we raised $51 million in June, right? A lot of it in small donations. And we raised $82 million in July. People are going, even the haters back there, the people that truly hate Trump, they said, that's amazing. So we're doing all right. And people, look, they want to hear this message because this is a message. This is an important message. But when you say, and when you hear what I just said, you charge a tariff or a tax. And guess what? And people say, but why haven't the politicians, they're smart, why haven't they done it? Because they're controlled by people that work for many of these companies, and they're not going to do it, whether it's donors or whether it's special interests or lobbyists, they're controlled because they want it to happen. And honestly, I think it's a total disgrace. I think it's a total disgrace. For the millions of jobs and for the thousands and thousands of companies that have left our country. If I were here to speak to every one of those companies for 5 minutes, bye-bye. They were so quiet. You know, I like the Hillary protesters. You know why? They're so nice and quiet. The Bernie protesters were brutal. They were tough, right? The Hillary protesters have no spirit. Did you see that? She starts screaming. The guy walks up, I'll go. The Bernie ones they had a lot more spirit. I think we're going to get a lot of Bernie voters, you want to know the truth, because they do understand that trade is killing us. Trade. So a few things, a few of the facts I wrote, which I think are amazing. One is the 1.2% lowest, and, forget it. It's not a recovery. It's probably, don't forget, when they announce 1.2%, that means it's lower. And 1.2 is starting to set records. The national debt, so we're up to almost $20 trillion. 20 trillion! The national debt under Obama has doubled. Think of it, doubled. Might be, I think by the time he gets out, it's going to more than double, but again, we have to be very accurate because they'll say, well, it hasn't quite doubled. Believe me, by the time he gets out, it'll have more than doubled. The national debt has doubled. And you know the bad part about that? You think if the national debt has doubled, our infrastructure would be great. Our country would be in great shape. We'd have beautiful roads, beautiful highways. You see where like 50% of the bridges are in danger in this country? And the roadways are a mess. I have a friend, he's in the trucking business. He said, for years he had no problems. Now he buys these big, beautiful trucks and the wheels get wiped out because of the potholes on the highways and things that he never had. So you'd think with all of that doubling of the national debt, you'd really think that we'd be in good shape from the infrastructure standpoint, right? We're not. We're in very bad shape. U.S. trade deficit, almost $800 billion. Nearly 24 million Americans in their prime earning years are out of the labor force, right? In the last 7 years, another 14 million people have left the workforce. Think of it. These are the real numbers, not the 5% nonsense. You look for a job, you can't find your job, you go home, you share, you go to your parents, you go to your friends, you do whatever. You gave up. And now you're considered, statistically, you're considered employed. Those people are not employed. These are great people. And there are plenty of them in here. I mean, we have great people. We have the most loyal people. We have the smartest people. So many of my people, they're so smart. They like to say, well, Trump, I don't know if he's got this one. Let me tell you, we have the smartest people. We have the people that are the smartest and the strongest and the best and the hardest working. We have the smartest people. We'll put IQs among some of us. We can't say all of us, right? Against any IQs that we have to deal with. That I can tell you. I would love to do that. In the last 7 years, 14 million people, 1 in 5 American households do not have a single member in the workforce. Pretty bad. Home ownership, this is one that is amazing to me. Today, home ownership is at its lowest rate in 51 years. So you own homes. I mean, it always used to be the dream to own a home, right? The American home. Lowest that it's been in so many years. 51 years. Nearly 12 million people and more Americans are dependent on food stamps. And 2 million more Latino Americans live in poverty under Obama and Clinton. Under Obama, because Clinton is going to carry on. I don't know if you saw, I gave a massive tax decrease yesterday, and regulations, we're going to get rid of so many of them. But Clinton is going to double your taxes. She's going to double up your taxes. And she's trying to say, well, I don't like Trump's plan. She's going to double up your taxes. You're going to have massive tax increases if Clinton gets in. Enjoy it, folks, if that happens. 58% of African American youth are not employed. How sad is that? American households are earning $4,000 less, listen to this one, today than they were 16 years ago. Many workers are earning less than 1970 in real dollars. So 1970, it's a long time ago, right? They're earning in real dollars less money. So under my plan, we're going to create millions of new and really good paying jobs. You know, it's interesting because even the pro-Obama people say about the jobs that they're bad jobs. I've heard it from many of the people. They're trying to defend him, but they say they're bad jobs. They're not good jobs. The good jobs have left. But we'll create millions of new good paying jobs, but good jobs. It's so important. It's so important. Everyone's taxes will go down. Hillary Clinton has supported tax increases on the middle class for her entire career. She's voted for higher taxes 235 times in the Senate. That's all? I thought it was more than that. 235 times. I hope there's not a decimal point in there or something. 23.5 times. But I don't think there is. Voted for higher taxes 235 times in the Senate. Now she's planning another job-killing $1.3 trillion tax increase. That's what her tax increase is going to be, folks. Like you're not paying enough, right? Her plan will tax many small businesses who are already in deep trouble out of business. Then we will make, and this is so important, this was an Ivanka Trump, okay? My daughter, so great. So great. We're going to make child care expenses tax deductible for working families. And just many, many other things. I mean, we're going to make some unbelievable changes. And it's so easy. Again, you know, regulations, I'm traveling all over, and I'm meeting with business owners, and beyond business owners, even people that work at the businesses. They're being laid off because of it. Regulations. If I told you, and I'm so surprised, this is probably the biggest surprise, if you have a small business, and I said you can have one or the other, a major tax cut like we're going to, you know, we're bringing it down to 15% from much more than double that. But if I told you that you could have a massive tax decrease or really substantially, but in a real way, cut regulation, 100% of the people I talk to would take the regulation if you could only have one or the other. It's amazing. It's amazing. And that surprised me. Surprised you too. Surprised them too. 100%. I mean, everybody, businesses can't form anymore. The regulatory burden is so incredible that you can't form businesses, very hard. And businesses that are in existence are being put out of existence for regulations that don't do anything. We want safety regulations. We want environmental regulations. We're not, you know, people that don't want these things. We have to have that. We want clean air. We want clean water. We want clean water. But to do that, and there are certain things that you want to do, but to do that, you don't have to destroy our country and destroy our businesses. So, you know, I just wrote this down today. Hillary wants to raise taxes. It's a comparison. I want to lower them. Hillary wants to expand regulations, which she does bigly. Can you believe that? I will reduce them very, very substantially. Could be as much as 70, 75%. Hillary wants to shut down energy production. I want to expand it. Lower electric bills, folks. Hillary wants to essentially abolish the Second Amendment. By the way, and if she gets to pick her judges, nothing you can do, folks. Although the Second Amendment people, maybe there is, I don't know. But I'll tell you what, that will be a horrible day. If Hillary gets to put her judges, right now we're tied. You see what's going on? We're tied because Scalia, this was not supposed to happen. Justice Scalia was going to be around for 10 more years at least, and this is what happens. That was a horrible thing. So now look at it. So Hillary essentially wants to abolish the Second Amendment. Now, speaking to the NRA folks, who are great, when you, and I'll tell you, so they endorsed me. They endorsed me very early. My sons are members, I'm a member. We can add, I think, the National Rifle Association. We can add the Second Amendment to the justices. They almost go, in a certain way, hand in hand. Now, the justices are going to do things that are so important, and we have such great justices. You saw my list of 11 that have been vetted and respected and have gotten great. Okay. And they a little bit equate. But if you don't do what's the right thing, you're not going to have, either you're not going to have a Second Amendment, you're not going to have much of it left, and you're not going to be able to protect yourselves, which you need. You know, when the bad guys burst into your house, they're not looking about Second Amendments and do I have the right to do this? Okay? The bad guys aren't going to be giving up their weapons. But the good people will say, oh, well, that's the law. No, not going to happen. We can't let it happen. We can't let it happen. Hillary Clinton wants to have totally open borders where people flow into our country. Where they flow into our country and they take your jobs and they do lots of things. And I want people to come into our country, but they have to do it through a process. They have to do it legally, right? So, you have drugs pouring in. You have everything coming in. You know, in New Hampshire, great state, they have a tremendous heroin problem. I said to them, we will stop the drugs from pouring into our country from the southern border. We're going to stop it. And by the way, we will build a wall, which is needed. Walls do work. Walls do work. Now here's one that, you know, I mean, she doesn't look that way, but she is. Hillary wants to invade foreign countries. That's what she does. And look at the mess. So we've spent, you know, for 3 years I've been saying we've spent $2 trillion, right, in Iraq. I've been saying for now, I guess. Somebody actually said to me the other day, they're talking about 4 or 5 trillion in the Middle East. And I'm going to get the accurate number. They don't know the accurate number, the truth is. They have no idea. They have no idea what we're doing. We're sending equipment over, the enemy's taking it. We sent over 2,300 Humvees that are totally armor-plated. They got stolen by the enemy. 2,300. I thought they meant like 2 or 23. Or 230 was too much. 2,300 Humvees, and they got stolen. They got taken by the enemy. You know, shot gets fired in the air, the ones we gave to the so-called allies, these great allies that we always pick, who end up being worse than the guys we're trying to get out. So, terrible. Hillary and President Obama refuse to use the term radical Islamic terrorism. Big problem. Big problem. Hillary wants to release violent criminals and criminal offenders from prison. That's wonderful. Enjoy yourselves. I want to work with our police. Our police are so incredible. They're not getting the respect they deserve. Not getting the respect they deserve. And we're going to, in our country, restore law and order. We have to. We have to restore law and order. And the police are going to be careful, and they're going to be studied, and they're going to be, but we have to restore law and order. What happened in Dallas, where all of those people were shut down, absolutely for no reason. viciously shot down. And so many others. I was with one of the police groups the other day. They're endorsing me. And I said, that was terrible in Dallas. And they gave me a list of like 8 other states in the last short while where the same smaller number, but the same thing was happening, where police are being killed. We have to respect and cherish our police. School choice we want, Common Core we don't want. We got to get rid of Common Core. Bring education. Have to do. And folks, and we have to renegotiate with NAFTA. And by the way, going back to the wall, Mexico is going to pay for the wall. That I can tell you. Gonna pay. You know, these politicians, they don't know me. They don't understand me. And I am. I'm in a group of 50 people. These are real geniuses. These are 50 people that have been running our country forever. And they said, we can't support Donald Trump. The reason they can't, you know why? Because I'm not going to hire these people. I don't want these people. Take a look. Take a look at what these people, these are sort of like the people that have been involved with Washington, making decisions militarily, on defense, on other things. Take a look what's happened to our country. Our military is depleted. Our vets aren't taken care of. We can't beat ISIS. Can you imagine General George Patton, who is right now spinning in his grave, the great General Douglas MacArthur? Can you imagine? And I say because we have so many military people, and this is such a military state, and I love it. I love it. But can you imagine them seeing that we can't beat these 25 or 30,000 people? We can't beat them. We're fighting a politically correct war. It's a politically correct war. I mean, you know what's going on. You know what's going on. These are people that chop off heads. These are people that in steel cages, drop steel cages into the waters and drowned large numbers of people. These are people that bury people in the sand. We got to knock them out. I was against the war in Iraq. We shouldn't have been to the war in Iraq. It destabilized the Middle East, and I said that was going to happen. But we shouldn't have gotten out the way we got out. The way we got out was insane. And Obama gave a date. And he said, and that's how ISIS happened, folks. Hence, the birth of ISIS. Congratulations, Hillary Clinton. I mean, she should get, if I'm ISIS, I call her up and I give her the most valuable player award, okay? And I guarantee you, with Libya, which was her baby, and all of the other mistakes she's made, Obama talks now, because obviously for him, that's the better alternative, all right? But he's been an incompetent president. He's done a horrible job. And I guarantee you that if he had it to do again, and he would only say this to his wife, but if he had it to do again, he would not have chosen Hillary Clinton to be his Secretary of State because she made so many horrible mistakes and cost so many lives. And I mean lives on both sides. I'm not just saying, I mean lives on both sides. She's inept. She's inept. And to think that she's even allowed to run for the presidency of the United States when she deleted and got rid of 33,000 emails is an embarrassment to our country, and it always will be, okay? It always will be. So I want to thank all of you for being here. Look, I'm going to be around, and we're going to be coming to North Carolina a lot. Got to win it, very important. But people are great. My daughter-in-law comes from North Carolina. I'm here all the time. But the people are great. The military is great. We are going to make America great again. We're going to start winning. We're going to put America first. We're going to make America safe again. But never, ever forget, we are going to make America great again. Thank you. Thank you, everybody. I'll be back soon. Thank you. God bless you.